Hi, and welcome to our Retired Nomad Adventures.
I'm Retired Rick.
And I'm Daphne, and we are a retired couple traveling the world full-time with just a carry-on and a backpack, a heavy carry-on and a heavy backpack. And in today's video, we want to talk to you as first-time visitors to Istanbul. We want to share with you a sample itinerary that we would share with our family and our friends if they asked us, what should we do in Istanbul if it's our first time visiting? So we would love to share that with you. So we're going to start the morning with something fabulous to eat. So we would say start your day early and head out for a full Turkish breakfast.
I'm all for starting the morning with something to eat.
Well, and especially this big spread. So when we looked, there were so many places to choose from, and honestly, I don't think you could go wrong anywhere in the city. They had really expensive ones on rooftop terraces that looked wonderful, and then we chose what was the least expensive one at a little place called the Rabbit Hole, and we loved it.
Now with the Turkish breakfast, it's not exactly the breakfast I'm used to. I'm used to just toast and eggs, but the Turkish breakfast here is very different, and it's like like just a little spread of just about everything that's in the refrigerator.
Well, maybe in a Turkish refrigerator, because there's all kinds of let's see, on the spread, so it's like a charcuterie board to start with. So you've got olives, you've got hard-boiled eggs, you've got...
You got little round sausages, you have slices of ham, and we don't eat the meat, but I had to test it to make sure it was sausage. Yeah, it was sausage.
Yeah, and there's plenty even if you don't have that. There's all kinds of fruit, bread, there's a Russian potato salad that's very popular, and then you can add on things. So like we added on, they have a Turkish egg dish that's scrambled eggs with peppers and tomatoes, and so that was delicious. We added that on to our dish. And then of course the meal starts with Turkish coffee, and so you got 2 cups of Turkish coffee.
Yes, and with the Turkish coffee, this was the first time, I think the second time I had Turkish coffee, and I noticed there was grounds in the bottom, so I thought I was doing the right thing, so I stirred it up again, and I put some more sweetener in there and stirred it up, and I got a bunch of coffee grounds in my mouth. So that's not the proper way to do it. The proper way is just let it sit, and you just sip it, and you ask for sweetener before it comes to your table, because that way it's already mixed in. So the way I did it is wrong, and if you do it my way, you will get a mouthful of grounds. Yeah,
and we learned that in our coffee making classes, that you ask for the sugar beforehand, and then everything settles together, and it doesn't. The grinds actually don't come up into your mouth. But stirring it up makes them come into your mouth. I just got an Americano, but the big deal with the Turkish breakfast is to be able to sit and linger and enjoy your time there. It's kind of like a Sunday breakfast is something that we would kind of equate it to. So the cost for us for this Turkish breakfast at the Rabbit Hole was only $27 for a really big, nice spread. And the wonderful thing there, it was like a true Turkish neighborhood, and so it was early in the morning, and it's summer, so I'm not sure if the kids were going to school, but that's what it seemed like. You had grandmas kind of hanging out of the window, like organizing the kids in the street. You had other moms collecting big groups of kids. It was fun to sit and watch like the morning activity in a true neighborhood.
You had workers with it's like a little flatbed cart that they would have, and they would have tools on there. They would have things that they were working on, projects, and they would just roll up and then start working on them and start doing their thing. So you were truly in the neighborhood, so it was nice.
Yeah. And so this Rabbit Hole is close to the town center, sort of the Old Town City Center. It's easily walkable. So from breakfast, we would recommend that you take a walk over to the city center where you're going to pick up a tour. So we think it's important on this first day here that you kind of get your bearings in the layout of the city and get to see all those major sites that you want to see on that first day in Istanbul. In my mind, there's sort of 2 different kinds of tours you can take. So you can take the tours that will allow you to go inside all of the historical monuments, and that will definitely cost you more. One place that we have really seen inflation in Turkey is the cost the admittance fees into different things. And so we chose to go on the tour that only took us into those places that were free. So we went with a tour company called Free Istanbul Tours, and they charged us a tip instead of an actual fee. And they organized that at the beginning. They let you know exactly how they expected payment, and it was tip-based.
And it was nice doing it that way. It was a free walking tour, but right away the tour guide had explained how the tip works, what they expect and what's a reasonable tip at the end. And it was was really nice to not guess, but to know that you're tipping correctly, and it was nice because there was no surprises.
And very inexpensive. So the total cost for us was 900 Turkish lira, which worked out to just under $24 US dollars for us.
Yeah, for a nice walking tour, you got knowledge about the city, and you were able to get your bearings on where you're at and where things are.
Yeah, yeah. And so it took us, all of the sites are sort of in a very compact area. So we started at a German fountain kind of in the middle of the square in the middle of the city, and we got our history lesson. And then from there, he took us outside of the Hagia Sophia, which is fantastic. It's a beautiful building. That is $25 US dollars per person to enter. So if you wanted to go in there later, you could, and that's how much that would cost. And then we went over to a sultan's graveyard, sort of an area with the sultan who built the Blue Mosque. So we were taken there. And then from there, we were taken inside the Blue Mosque, which was fantastic. We kind of got a history lesson on Islam, and also pointed out parts of the mosque that we may have missed if we'd have gone in on our own. And in fact, we probably wouldn't have gone into the mosque on our own had we not been on a tour, because we knew to cover I knew I needed to cover my shoulders and my knees. I forgot that I would need a head covering, and we thought that Rick's shorts would have been okay. But actually the men's knees need to be covered, and women's, of course, knees, shoulders, and head need to be covered. So we would have assumed that we were dressed inappropriately, but having the guide with us, he said, oh, don't worry about it. They had head coverings for women, and they also had skirts that you just slipped on over your clothes to cover your knees, whether you were a man or a woman. And so that worked out really well, and having the guide was helpful, because
Right.
I think we would have just assumed we couldn't have gone in that day.
Yeah, it was nice going up to the line because you didn't have to decide if you were appropriate or not and be inside and feel uncomfortable. They let you know, okay, you need a skirt. So I needed to have a little skirt on because my shorts were a little short, but the guy in front of me had longer shorts on, so he was able to go through. So it was nice that they made the decision on what we needed to do, and it was nice to be able to do that and then go in and experience the inside without being nervous if you were appropriate or not.
Yeah, yeah. So that was great. And then from there, we came out into the center of the square again, a little more history, and then he took us over to the Grand Bazaar, which was really interesting because there's over 4,000 shops inside the Grand Bazaar, and I guess it's organized in a way that, depending on the entrance you go into, will depend on sort of the section and the items that are being displayed. And so it was nice to hear all about that and get an insider's guide on things.
And he had said that there's 21 gates, 21 or 22 gates to the entrances to the Grand Bazaar. So that was interesting also.
Yeah, yeah. And so from there, that's where our tour kind of ended. We went back to his shop. That's where we were able to pay him. He gave us some tea and then also some Turkish delights, which were fantastic. So I would say that that's a kind of tour that you can take, but then there's also tours that you can take where the cost of the tour is about $50, and what that gets you is a front of the line pass for all of the different sites, not your entrance fees though. So know that those tours will take you into the Blue Mosque, which is free. They'll probably also take you to the Grand Bazaar, which is free, but they'll take you inside the Hagia Sophia, which is going to cost $25 in addition to the cost of your ticket. And then they will also take you into the Basilica Cistern, which cost $40 per person to go into. And of the places we didn't go into, I would say the Basilica Cistern seemed like the one that I would be most interested in going into. But just know that there's two different tour types. Our tour was 2.5 hours. The tours that are going to take you inside are going to be double that. So you'll be with those tour guides for about 5 hours, and it'll cost you about $50 plus your entrance fees into the different locations. So I would say that's a great way to spend the morning, is get yourself oriented to the city. Now, if you had a big Turkish breakfast, you probably aren't hungry for a big lunch, and so we would recommend getting we got this every day. So they're the Turkish bagels, so they're kind of bigger and thinner than like a New York bagel, and you can get them with cheese on the inside, cheese and tomatoes. You can get them with different fillings, and then also get yourself an iced coffee and sit and relax and have a little snack before heading on to the next adventure. And if you didn't have a big Turkish breakfast before this, then I would really recommend getting lunch at one of the beautiful terraced restaurants here. So all around the Grand Bazaar area, you're kind of up higher on the hill. So there's beautiful restaurants you can go sit and you can enjoy a meal, and then also the views from there. So we would recommend that. We didn't do that. We did have our big Turkish breakfast, but our guide recommended 2 restaurants. So I want to recommend those to you. So the first was Adela Seafood Restaurant, and the views from there are supposed to be beautiful. And then the other is a place where you can get true Turkish food on a terrace with beautiful views, and that is Lotus Lounge and Hookah. So those are a couple of recommendations if you didn't have that big breakfast and you want to have a nice meal with a view. So now you're still up in the Grand Bazaar area, no matter what you're going to do here, and we would say that now's the time to go shopping.
Right.
You've got to go explore the Grand Bazaar. And one of the things we learned on our tour was the art of Turkish bargaining. So you can try out your bargaining skills here.
So our tour guide, and I've heard this before, but our tour guide suggested that when you go into a place, these owners really want you to like their product. So what you do is if you see something, hold it. You physically touch it and you hold it. And then you ask how much it is. They will give you a price. And then you just kindly like, oh, I really like this. This really goes good in my house, whatever it may be. And you say, it's kind of out of my budget. And I was looking more to spend X amount of dollars. And then they will say something to the effect of, oh, you know, I can't afford that. And you're like, oh, I really like this. I really like this. I'm sorry, it's outside of my budget. Right now, I want to get something to eat. I will be right back if I choose to, and I'll come back, and I really love this, but hopefully it'll be here. And then if he lets you leave, then you know what his bottom line is. But most likely he will tell you another price, and then you can kind of wiggle up from there, and then you guys will be able to settle on something.
Yeah. So make sure to stay very friendly, very complimentary, and then maybe have small bundles of cash in different pockets of whatever it was you were thinking you were going to spend. But you can try out those skills and know that there's so many shops for you to go in and out of. And you know, we had fun just window shopping. We didn't buy anything. We had fun window shopping. So we would recommend spending a couple of hours, few hours at the Grand Bazaar. All right, so this should take you into the evening. And so we're going to recommend that you do a Bosphorus river cruise. And so there you have all different varieties there that you can do also. So keeping in theme with our looking for the least expensive, we found a really inexpensive cruise. It was less than $12 each less than $12 for both of us to go on a 3-hour river cruise with an hour stop over on the Asian side of the river. And this was a sunset cruise. So it was really beautiful. It was very crowded, so we knew that. We knew spending as little as we spent that we were going to be elbow to elbow, but we were able to find seats right along the back of the ship. So we had a beautiful view when we were on the ship, and it was really beautiful to watch the sunset over the bridge as it that connection between the two sides, and the sights were they were beautiful. So we would totally recommend doing a sunset cruise.
And they provide tea and cookies, water. So they do provide something. They don't provide any food or anything, but the teas and cookies are great.
Yeah, and you could buy food on the ship. And the other thing that we would recommend is before you hop on it, if you do the cheap cruise like we did, before you hop on, down there by the river, there is a place where you can get the absolute best fish wrap and fish sandwich we had. It was I shared this before. It was my favorite meal. So the flavors and the seasonings on that were terrific, and that was about $5 for each of the sandwiches. Yeah. So you can grab that before you hop on the ship, so you'll be fully satisfied. You can buy snacks on the ship if you wanted to. But the other thing you could do if you wanted to is to do a dinner cruise. And so that would start a little later. And so ours started at 6:30 and we were done by 9:30. And so you could do one that was a dinner cruise, and they have shows and there's all different varieties that you can book. And those are about $50 a person, but those look fantastic also. And we've heard great things about the dinner show cruise. So know that you can do one or the other. If you do the one we did where you get an hour on the Asian side, it's really not enough time to go super exploring, but it's enough time to go sit and have a drink at one of the nice restaurants right there along the water. And I'd say it was a really good way to be able to see all the sights along the river and just be able to see the difference between the two sides. So if you do the inexpensive cruise like we did, you may want some dinner when you're done. And so it'll be about 9:30, and it's an easy walk back into a town. Well, it's a short walk, but it is definitely an uphill walk back into town. And so we would recommend some place that we ate at 3 times when we were there. And it's kind of a corner place that you could probably find in any neighborhood in Istanbul. But this place we liked because the beer was inexpensive.
Right.
The food was the choices were always solid. Like the food was great no matter what we ordered. The atmosphere was lively, and
your wine was about $6.
Yeah, that was really great. And so the place we would recommend is Sultanahmet Fish House. But we'll put the name down on the screen so you'll know the actual name. So we're sure we're butchering that. But it's a solid choice, and it would be a really nice way to end your night. So that would be the day we would recommend for our family and friends, which we would absolutely consider you to be. And this is a great way in one day to be able to see all of the main attractions right in Istanbul. So if you're short on time, this is a great way to do it. And if you have more time, then you can spread this out over multiple days. So we hope this is helpful if you visit Istanbul for the first time. And we want to take a moment now to say thank you. We forgot to say thank you last week. And so we were like, oh no, we have to make sure we say thank you this week to some people who really, put a pep in our steps, by sending us some coffees. So we really want to make sure to say thank you.
Coffees and also some carrot cake. I found some carrot cake, so I've used the coffee money for carrot cake
multiple times. Like
yes.
We have not been once or twice to the carrot cake place.
Yes.
So you should have seen the glee on his face when he went into the coffee shop and they had carrot cake. So thank you. So let's see. So we have Wilson's Adventures. Thank you. You sent us 3 coffees. Much. We have Christina Bailey. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Cindy G. Thank you. 5 coffees you sent us. We so appreciate that. And then Chad Roberts, 5 coffees also. So thank you, Chad.
Everyone, thank you. It is a blessing to receive the email, and it's nice that you guys think of us and send us some coffees.
Yeah. So we so appreciate you. Okay, so again, we hope this has been helpful, and then we also hope you join us next week for more Retired Nomad Adventures. And until then, bye.